The always reassuring message of, is this working?
Oh, I've had it for a few days now. Yeah. It wasn't working yesterday.
Okay, have you muted us? Tonight on HPR, James continues to use an upwards inflection. Becca celebrates the return of Hills. Steve continues to make up facts and calls it science. Tonight, we have a single race up the Epic KOM. We have 13.96 kilometers starting in 1 minute and 6 seconds. Becca, are you excited?
Yes. Although I'm not sure you can call it the return of hills when we haven't actually gone up any hills since the end of last season and then too.
Tonight on HPR, it's the start of the hills.
That feels more accurate. Yeah, I'll take that.
Thank you. Steve, who are you following tonight?
I'm so glad you've stopped doing whatever it was that happened to your voice there, James. I'm going to follow Ben Poynton, who famously is not a climber, mate, but will probably do about 5,000 watts for the first 20 minutes before dying a death halfway up. But it's going to be fun watching him all the way.
I'm following Chris Greenland tonight. Becca, eager viewer, how badly are you hoping Chris does tonight?
I just say I like Chris, and in no way am I hoping that Chris does badly tonight. I'm just hoping slightly that I will do slightly better tomorrow. And tonight I'm following Lisa Jones, who is, as always, immaculately dressed.
What is Lisa wearing tonight?
She somehow managed to find herself on Zwift a Christmas jumper, which is quite impressive.
Very good. Well done, Lisa. So Chris is shooting off around about 320, 330, 400 watts, hanging on to the front group. So just to quickly recap on the course, we have about 5 kilometers of flat before approximately a 9 kilometer climb. The climb will average about 3.8%, and as I said, we've got 5 kilometers flat, and then the climb starts around about 8 to 10% with an initial ramp, followed by the bridge that never ends, which is about 3%, maybe 4% at the very most. And then we will have the main climb, which is generally around about 5%. And the tunnel they have to go through is about 7 to 8, after which they will go over the bridge, and we've got some ups and downs, and then the final climb towards the line at 13.96 kilometers. So Chris is in front group. I would imagine that Lisa is as well, Becca.
She's just hanging off the back at the moment in a very small second group who may or may not bridge across, although they are trying. She's currently putting out 4.5 watts a kilo, so just over 250, and the rider in front of her has just managed to get back on, but I'm not sure he's managed to drag her with him, so unfortunately she seems to have missed the front brake.
Could well jump on at the start of the climb. Steve, there's Ben in the front group as well.
Oh, thanks, Jimmy. Yeah, I was, well, I wasn't really paying attention at the beginning because I'm a little bit tired and drunk, I'll be honest. But Ben wasn't in the front group and then did some pedaling, and now he is in the front group, and he's hanging out with the chief lazy man of the front group, Mike Bowser. So that's a great wheel for him to be on. An early mention of Mike Bowser not doing any work in a group, which is probably a drink for anyone who's playing drink along with the herd commentary tonight. Becca, has Lisa managed to make it on?
Unfortunately not. The gap has now gone to 4 seconds. She's in a small group with Bray, who is also from Herd, and an American, but there's only 3 of them, so I feel like they'll get caught by the group behind fairly quickly, who's got Matt De Freitas in, who we all know.
Indeed. Matt De Freitas, having represented Great Britain at 1,500 metres and has run a sub-4-minute mile, which is incredibly impressive. But I just wanted to pick up with Steve. Steve, do you think the best technique tonight is pedalling and pedalling hard?
Thank you, Jimbo. Yeah, well, at the moment, I would be trying not to pedal if possible. This is the one bit of respite people are going to get tonight. I'm also struggling to think about anything I've done quicker than 4 minutes that isn't sexually related, and I'm really struggling at the moment. So that really is impressive, running a mile quicker than 4 minutes. So yeah, really impressive. Just back to the cycling here, not my sad life. Ben Poynton hanging out the back, of course, riding the pink Tron, which we all know is the fastest of all Trons. James, Hannes, what bike is your rider on?
I can't quite see because there are so many bikes around. However, and if we were doing Lisa's Corner at the moment, and given we've got a 3-minute lag to the YouTube stream, we may not see Lisa's Corner. However, there are several options available tonight. If you felt so inclined, you could take a TT bike straight out of the pen, and then switch to a Tarmac Pro with the lightweight Millenstein wheels. However, having said that, my personal opinion is that if you take the Tarmac Pro with the Millis, but it's probably going to be your best bet. And obviously, I feel very, very, very conflicted because the Pinktron is always the best bike. However, tonight that may not be the case. And Becca, I know you have very strong feelings about lack of Pinktron.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed tonight that the Pinktron is not the fastest. As you know, I even used the Pinktron to go up Larienne, but wanting to make some points back this weekend after last weekend's dismal performance, I will have to unfortunately go with a Tarmac Pro and some Meilensteins.
So very, very sad news to hear. Steve, will you also be taking the Tarmac Pro for Millies, or?
Well, no, as regular herd riders with me will know, I have climbed the Alp 950 million times and still do not have the Meilensteins, but do have lots of polka dot coloured gloves, which I shall all be wearing layered one upon each other to weigh me down even more.
But do you think you might be able to use the Pinktron?
Sadly not got to my Pinktron yet. I think this road will take me very close to Pinktron. I might have to do a bonus 500 meters afterwards. But yeah, within one Alp of the Pinktron, which is one of the most exciting things I've said in a while. We've just done the little mini ramp in this front group, haven't we? Which is, of course, a bit of a split. And frankly, I'm slightly terrified ahead of tomorrow's race now, watching Ben do 3 and a bit watts and struggle to hang on to the front group. Yeah, normally, kind of in a good B or C ride, back in the good old days of being in the C's, James, everyone would take it quite steady at this point as Ben just gets dropped off the front group. But people will be taking it steady, knowing that, well, Epic is a pretty serious climb. It's a kind of 25 to 30 minute effort for most B's and C's, isn't it? 40 minutes for a good D rider. Yeah, but this is just really fast at the front. So we're just seeing Ben drop off this main group as we come into the non-classified hill before the bridge.
Yeah, we are just hitting the start line for the Epic KOM at the front of the group. Chris has been holding low freeze, and we are now into the 8% climb. No idea how well he's going to do. Chris claims to favour the flatter routes, so we're going to see how he hangs on. He's doing pretty well so far, hanging on to about 15th place as we do the little switchbacks before we head to the bridge that never ends. And the bridge that never ends goes on for about obviously 1 million kilometres, at around about 4%. Million may also be translated as about 1.5K.
So, Becca, as the main climber in our group, what are your tactics for climbing? So James, I know you'll take very much a TT approach. You'll pick some watts and you'll try and push that as long as you can, as hard as you can. I will take the complete opposite approach, which is whenever the numbers get high, I'll pedal really hard, and when the numbers get a bit lower, I'll have a bit of a breather. Becca, as a proper climber, what will you be doing?
I will be taking James's approach because it's sensible, but also I will try and hang on to the front riders as much as possible to get any sort of draft that you can for as long as possible. Can I just say, either Brian Sultana has done an in-pen change, or he is riding the Buffalo bike up today's climb, which is quite amazing at 4.5 watts per kilo. He's just in front of Lisa Jones, and they got caught by the second group and then attacked together, and they're just catching up with the back riders from the front group now. So Lisa at 4.7 watts a kilo is started her climb off very, very strong.
Yeah, Chris is doing similar numbers. We're just hitting the bridge that never ends, and he's now dropped his numbers down to about 4. But this field has been shot to absolute shit. There is a very single narrow line with breaks everywhere, and if Chris can get onto a rider in front of him, there might be a bit of draft. But he's just got Bruce Bortoff going in front of him, so he might be able to hang on. This is probably one of the few places where you're actually going to get a bit of draft in this route. And Chris is pushing hard, 3.5 to 4 watts a kilo, and doing a great job. I do have to ask though, Steve, do you have any factually based scientific knowledge about power to weight ratios?
I did, but I've closed that browser window down. So I've got a genuine proper science question now about the route. So as you both know, I did this climb on Thursday as a part of a recovery ride, so doing 2 watts per kilogram all the way up. And it's surprising how much of it you can draft on. So the draft is what, 13, 14 kilometers an hour on Swift? And that's a question, James, fill in at this point.
I think it's 16, but I think you get a lesser amount of draft at lower speeds.
And apparently there's no draft below about 9 or 10 kilometers now. So anyway, opportunities to draft most of the way up this climb. So there is some advantage to getting into the little small groups of 2 or 3. We are seeing kind of just like connect the dots really up the road here, as Ben is on the incredibly long and boring bridge to nowhere. So yeah, it's a case of get together in little groups, use the draft in Zwift, and use the game mechanic as our tactics tonight, I think, isn't it? And I've still not found that browser window, so sadly no signs for you. Becca, how's Lisa doing?
She's overtaking basically everybody at the moment across the bridge. She's bringing Brian Sultana with her, who I definitely think is riding a buffalo bike, which is ridiculous. And she's about 6 seconds behind Ben Poynton now, so she's catching up with an awful lot of the front riders, and yeah, I only think she's going to get stronger.
Yeah, so on the bridge, we're definitely seeing a lot more people bunching. So there's definitely obviously a draft effect on there. However, we are just finishing the bridge now. We're just on 7%. So bye-bye draft, bye-bye bunches, and good luck to everybody. We have, what are we? About 8 kilometers to go, just under, and it's all uphill, apart from the bits that aren't, which sounds ridiculous, and I apologise. But it's mainly uphill. Got a couple of little wobbles as we go along. We're going to pretty much climb up towards the castle from now, and the castle is flat, and then climbing straight after the castle, and then we'll go into the tunnel, and after the tunnel we've got the flat bridge, and then a couple of ups and downs from there, but we are a little bit away from that now. Chris is currently sat in 90th place with about 4 or 5 other riders, and he's certainly pushing out some good numbers, holding around 3.5 to 4, and doing a great job. But he's going to have to push if he's planning on beating the Becca's time tomorrow. Expecting good times from you tomorrow, Becca. How are you feeling?
Don't put too much pressure on then. Yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. I've done this climb in 25 minutes before, and I'm hoping for a bit of a PR tomorrow. But we'll see how Chris goes, and I'll try and get a couple more points.
On the note of PRs, Steve Pritchard, what is yours?
I think it's 28 minutes or something like that. We were saying in our heavy pre-scouting that we did, which was chatting on Discord when I rode up this on Thursday, that it's a climb that doesn't feature that often in races, does it? I think it's one of the older climbs in Zwift, so it's not used as often. It's not on as many routes. It doesn't have the mythicism of the Alp. It doesn't have that new feeling, although Von Top is incredibly dull, of Von Top. So I don't think we ride on it that often. So it's quite difficult to know what the tactics are tonight, really, aren't they? I think my PB is from April, was the last time we did it in the Herd, in Herd Summer Racing League 1. So yeah, it's quite a long time. So I've gained a few points on my watts per kilogram, so hopefully going to beat that PB at the moment. It was interesting listening into you struggle to describe how there were some ups and downs and some bits in the middle, or flat bits as the rest of us would call them, James. And just as you did that, Brian Sultana passed on the buffalo bike, so sorry for an audible laugh at your expense at that point. But because it is a less familiar climb, I personally think it's a harder one to gauge your effort on, isn't it? You can go a bit over your FTP to that bit, knowing you've got that bit through the castle that's flat, and you get kind of about 30 seconds to recover. And also about 2 kilometers or 1.5 kilometers from the top, you get into that section of rollers, which again, you could probably go above your FTP on that part of the climb, knowing that you can recover a bit on those rollers and that flat bit. So it's an interesting one to try and gauge your effort, really, isn't it? It's not a familiar climb to all of us. It's not something like the Alp where you've got those nice countdowns on the hairpins. So yeah, it could be a tough one to judge how fast you're going, really, couldn't it?
Yeah, agree entirely. Turns out my PB is probably actually from the same ride as yours on the 25th of April. My time was 33 minutes, and I was about 21 kilos heavier then. So I'm really hoping I managed to improve on that slightly. But we will see tomorrow lunchtime. But yeah, no, all of your points are valid. It is a tough climb to sort of pace you're going to hold, just because it's quite long but not very long. So you're looking at probably 25 to 27 minutes as a like mid B to low B, and you're going to have to push probably mid freeze, knowing that you've got the castle where it's flat, so you get a bit of recovery there, and after the tunnel you've got the ups and downs where you've got a bit more recovery there as well, and then a big push to the finish. So do you try and average 3.5 across the whole thing, or do you push 3.7, 3.8? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. It's just going to be an absolute bloody horrible climb, and I'm going to see what happens when I finish.
Yeah, it's a really strange one, isn't it? Sorry, Becca, because it's not that different to Bologna. If you think about Bologna, that's a 20-minute effort. When you do a Bologna TT for a good B, this is going to be a 25, 28-minute effort, somewhere in that range. So, but it just doesn't have that kind of flat then up of Bologna. There is a bit more difference in between. Becca, sorry, I rudely jumped in front of you.
No, without wanting to give away, tactics, you don't want to recover on the bit with the castle and the bit with the top. That is where you want to push. That is
Agree. Yeah.
Beat everyone else.
Because that's where you're going to lose. Similar to the volcano, on the volcano there are a couple of like dips and flat bits where you absolutely have to push, otherwise you can easily lose 30 seconds. And it'll be exactly the same on this route. So when you do hit the castle, go up a gear, push hard, and keep on pushing, and try and keep your watts the same, but as they would be going up the hill, because that'll save you so much time. Steve.
Very, very true on the Alp as well. And they say on the Alp it's the flat corners that actually cost you the time, and it's getting out the saddle and putting little sprints in to either keep your watts kilogram up, or actually this is where you've got to take advantage a bit of the Zwift mechanic, isn't it? It's that your most reward is on putting more effort in on the flats. A bit by my slightly controversial climbing style of doing harder efforts on the steepest bits, where the effort's going to be most rewarded by keep my speed up, and doing harder efforts on the flat bits, where hopefully I get the most benefit of going faster through the air, and then trying to just do as close to my FTP as I can on the kind of in-betweeny bits. Still working out just about where those are, but kind of my thinking is when it gets to kind of 1 or 0%, I'm going to push. When it gets towards 6, 7 or 8%, I'm going to push. Anything in between, I'm looking to just try and sit at my FTP. So for me, that's about 3.2, 3.3 watts per kilogram. But interesting to see how it works out. Ben's currently riding along with number 6 Wade from Herd Mentality. They've got a nice little mini group going. There's a couple of riders. Nate Home only 8-9 seconds up the road, so I think that's an interesting carrot for Ben. Nate and Ben ride together quite a lot in the Quackers, so there'll be a bit of Quacker rivalry happening there. James, do you want to regale us with a song, given the Christmas decorations I can see up on the trees on the KOM today?
I may pass on my Christmas decorations, but just to come back to a race, Chris has just gone through the castle. He's had a nice little flat bit, and they've bunched up a little bit. He's currently in 19th place, and Paul Shakaro is a second behind him. Mike Buggy is 28 seconds back, and B. Robinson, very sorry, I can't remember your first name, is about 10 seconds. Sorry, Becky. Ben Robinson is about 10 seconds behind them. But Chris is still pushing out big numbers. I think from memory his FTP is around about 3.4, but he's been pushing out 3.5 to 4.0 most of the climb. Currently in 18th place, doing a great job. Becca, how's Lisa doing?
She's overtaken an awful lot of people since the start of the climb, and she's currently in 29th. She's been left behind, unfortunately, by Brian Sultana, who's disappeared on his Buffalo bike, which is a shame because the rider action of a rider standing up climbing on a buffalo bike is actually quite amusing to watch.
I'm really sorry, Becca, but based on his surname being Sultana, is he racing away?
Oh no, that's terrible. You should cut that out.
Yeah, we should go back to current events in the racing, James.
Oh no, don't start. I'm not talking anymore.
Right, well, I'll fill this gap then. Ben's just coming into the castle now, so he's going to hit the 0% bit, and that's really going to benefit Ben. He's actually pumping his watts up here, which is great to see him doing. He's going to, I mean, knowing Ben, he'll drop about 9,000 watts on the flat, so he'll get some nice pace up and really benefit from this flat section, especially as well because it's cobbled, so there'll be probably slightly higher rolling resistance in the Zwift mechanics, so always worth bumping your watts up a little bit higher to overcome that, and we know the heavier riders do slightly better on those sections, so especially if you're a slightly heavier climber on today's climb, this is one to really go for and hit that 0%. Interesting what you're saying about Jonesy there, though, Becca, that she's gaining a lot of places. I wonder if this is a long enough or slightly tough enough climb that we'll see people start to tie up tonight. Certainly was the case with Von Top when we were looking to do that in 90 minutes. I know James and I, we started about 120th in the Bs and both treated it like a time trial, and we both finished in the top 50 by the end of the ride because we just caught people who'd gone out way too fast. Obviously, it's a lot shorter climb today. We're only talking 25 minutes rather than 90 minutes, but we'll be interested to see if people tire and whether the kind of slow and steady tortoises catch any of these hares tonight. What do you think?
Unfortunately, there's quite some big splits now. Lisa has been sort of left by herself, and the person in front of her is 15 seconds away. This climb is unfortunately not long enough for a sort of TT effort. Right from the start, I think you need to stick with the front group or at least a group for as long as possible, because as soon as it gets split up like this, a lot of the gaps will carry all the way to the finish unless you put in a big effort either on the rollers where some people might slow down or on the final push where maybe people don't have the legs just for the last kilometre.
Yeah, oh, sorry, I was just going to say I'd be inclined to agree with Becca, just because there aren't really that steep bits. I mean, Chris is going through probably the steepest bit of a climb at the moment, between about sort of 6 and 8% going through the tunnel. And realistically, if you're a proper climber, this is where you'll do really well. But there aren't many bits like this, so you're going to have to try and stick with a group as long as you possibly can, and then push on the bits that really suit you better. Sorry, Steve, you were talking.
Well, I was just going to say that on our Sultana's Currants and Raisins conversation, that if somebody made raisins with juice in them, that would be grape.
Oh dear.
and to bring that full circle and back to a classic herd theme, it's good to hear Becca whine about all of these.
No, stop it. No more.
So where is everyone? Ben's just hit the snowy section out of the castle. He's going to gain a place because somebody's just stopped at the side of the road. I can only presume because they've got a digital puncture. He's in 36th at the moment. I can see Nate is 20 seconds up the road now. Nate's pushing good B power there, actually 3.2, 3.5. So yeah, I don't think he's going to catch him. Lisa Jones 23 seconds ahead. So yeah, Ben's in a little race. He's sort of gap to a Japanese rider behind him and a Canadian chap in front of him. So it'd be interesting to see if he can make up a position on either of them. How is your rider getting on, James?
Yeah, Chris is doing okay. He's still pushing the numbers around about 3.5, which is probably just above FDP. He's sat in 17th position, just behind Abiy Ben Japol, who I think has a Thailand flag. And we are just about to hit the rollers. So definitely the best part of this climb, where you get to go downhill. So a little bit downhill, and then we'll hit the bridge, and then a little bit of climb, and then downhill, a little bit of climb, then downhill. I love this part. And then you've got a little bit of a climb before the banner. So Chris has got 5.5 kilometers to go, just over. Not too far to go. Back to you, Steve. How's Ben doing?
He's still in the kind of snowy bit before the tunnel, going through the digital fog, which I'm never really sure why Zwift bothers with, other than kind of maybe saving a bit of server time or something like that they don't have to animate that far in front of you. He's gained a couple of seconds on the Canadian chap in front of him, and maybe about a second on the OTR Shadows rider that's 6 seconds up the road. He's just entering this first tunnel section, chomping away around 3 watts per kilogram. Looks like he's got a foot into TT mode, and is saying things to himself like, I'm not a climber. I mean, you are, mate. You're climbing really, really well at the moment. So, just into that first tunnel section, he's actually caught the Canadian rider in front of him. So let's just see if he takes a little breather here. He's going to look to power past him. Steady time trial watts. He's putting a good dig in here, Ben. So I don't know if he's recovered a little bit from the initial effort and is able to time trial a bit more. Becca, where's Jonesy now?
She's just in the middle of the tunnel. Nate Home is closing in on her, and along with I think an Australian guy, which will give her a little group if she can hang on to the back of them. So she's got someone else to ride with. I think she's tiring a little because at the beginning of the climb she was putting out 4.5 and now she's putting out 3.5. But maybe she'll get a little bit of rest on the downhills and she'll be able to push strongly to the end. But she's still in 29th place and she's still putting out over 200 watts.
Yeah, so Chris is still doing well, still in 17th place, still with our friend from Thailand, and C. Stewart from OTL just behind. Mike Bucky has actually pulled, definitely zapped down the difference. I think it was about 25 seconds before. It's now only 5 seconds, so now 4. So we could well have a group up here before too long. Chris, 16th now, just ahead of our friend from Thailand, and a couple of guys just behind him. So we're just on the flat bit now, just about to hit a descent. And we have less than 4.5 kilometers to go. So not too far. And we will cut back to Steve and find out how Ben's getting on.
Yeah, so he's still sat. He's caught the couple of riders, so the OTR rider and the Canadian chap, and now a few seconds behind him. He did get up onto the wheel of another chap from the herd, A. Bray. Don't know your first name, sorry, but he's pushing some big watts now, so Ben couldn't hold that. Should we talk, James and Becca? Let's talk about some of the other rides that the herd do. I know we've got a few people potentially tuning in tonight that we advertise the stream to, and we certainly got some people debuting in the herd racing league tonight, because we've seen a lot of questions on Facebook about kind of where the races are and when they take place. I know we have the Stampede, a time trial event on a Monday night, and you, Becca, and I, we, for some foolish reason, decided doing the Bullseye on Wednesday would be fun, which was about 9,000 laps of Crit City, and I forget now, but it was just pain, followed by about 30 seconds of resting, followed by a minute and a half of pain, repeated over and over again from my recollection.
I love the Bullseye race. So Bullseye is basically you do laps. And at the end of each lap, whoever is the front, whoever is leading the race at that stage gets the most points. So ideally, you want to sprint at the end of every lap. Unfortunately, when you do Crit City, there are 18 laps, and each lap is 1.9 kilometers. So basically, you have to do a sprint every 2.5, 3 minutes, which makes life quite interesting. However, not all of those races are on Crit City. We have some volcano circuits. We've got seaside sprints alongside many others. So Bullseye is generally like a really good opportunity to test your sprint out, see how you do against other people. And on Mondays we have various different routes on TT bikes without any draft, and they're always a good bit of fun because rather than your sort of like normal race scenario where you're drafting as much as you possibly can and then maybe a sprint at the end, it's entirely you against the clock. So we have Stampede on Monday, Bullseye on Wednesday, team time trial on Thursday. However, we are just coming up to the line, and Chris G is pushing really, really hard. He looks like he might just sneak 16th. Yes, he does. Well done, Chris. And I think we should quickly switch back to Lisa, who I think is ahead of Ben.
Yeah, she's currently 12 seconds according to the sidebar and side of Swift, which is notoriously inaccurate. So we'll take that with a pinch of salt. She's just gone over the bumps. She's just trying to hold off Wriggle, who is behind her. She's been putting in a lot of effort, but she's currently in 29th place, which I'm seeing as the person in front of her is 31 seconds in front. I'm thinking she's probably hoping that she's going to cross the line in that, although she's still got 1.5 kilometers to go.
Yeah, Ben's just finishing the last roller, so I think he can just about see Lisa up the road. Yeah, just to round off that discussion, James, it's a really good mix of events in Herd Racing League. So the Herd Racing League itself on a Saturday, we have the time trial event on a Thursday, a Bullseye sprint event, which it really is one for the sprinters, but it's good fun if you're a climber to work on your sprint as well on a Wednesday. And then the time trial, the race of truth, the hour of pain, however you want to describe it, on a Monday night, which is just you and your bike working on your kind of threshold pain. And also we have the Alp Chase on a Sunday, which is pretty much what it says, a staggered start ride. Slowest people off first, so E's off first, A's off last, and race to the top of the Alp, which I've done a couple of times and also great fun. But let's cut back to Becca. Where's Jonesy now on the road?
Unfortunately, the guy she was holding off has just gone absolutely flying past, and so has Nate Home. Just behind her is Matt DeFreitas, who also is putting out a lot of watts, but hopefully Lisa will carry on holding him off for another 800 meters. Although she's looking slightly tired, although now she's just gone up to 4.7 watts a kilo, so I guess not quite so tired. Where's Ben?
He's 5-6 seconds behind the group in front of him. He's pushing 4 watts a kilogram. Ben, he's a big chap. He's a tall guy. He gets a lot of bonus weight on that downhill, and he just flew past the rider in front of him on the downhill. Great use of the super tuck. Great use of sort of knowing where your strengths are on a rider. He's lifting it up to about 3. I don't think there's really a sprint coming from Ben, and yeah, Abray, the herd chap who overtook on the descent, has just sort of ridden away. And in fact, Ben stopped. So I can only presume that's cramp. Let's get back to Jonesy.
Oh no, nightmare. She's got about 600 meters left. So there's a guy, Benigo, behind her, and then Matt. She's currently doing 203 watts or something, 4.4 watts a kilo. She's actually catching back on Nate Home and the other guy in front. She's still got 500 meters left to go, though. This is quite a bit of a punch after the rest of the climb. So everyone seems to be tiring somewhat, but now is the time to put down big watts if you've got anything left. She's just going past Nate Home, who seems to have acted quite well as a carrot for her, as she's gone 4.5 watts a kilo, and she's going past. And she's also overtaken Benigo, so she's gone back into 29th, although it's going to be very, very close to the line.
And I think Ben must have had a drop out or something there as he stops at the side of the road. He's back moving again now, but terrible luck there, Ben. Unless he was doing a David Miller move. David Miller, obviously British cyclist, professional cyclist, now retired, famously rode to all but 1 meter of the finish line and then retired from the race at that point, saying that the race organisers were assassins, and in protest retired from the race 1 meter from the end. I don't think Ben's trying that tonight. Has Jonesy crossed the line yet?
She's literally just about to 5.1 watts a kilo, and she's going to come in 31st place. She's done an absolutely brilliant climb there, and she's just crossing now.
Excellent. Well, yeah, Ben's in 39th now. A few little group of riders caught him. He's sat at 3, so it'll be interesting to find out later on the Quokka chat what happened to Ben there. He might come out on Facebook and let us know. He's sat at 3.5. He's back down to 3 again. I think he's tired. He's a very strong B. He's a very strong B rider. I can't say he's a very strong C rider, as Ben. So kind of a 3.2, 3.3 effort would be kind of where he sits really well. Wow, Tim Watkins from the herd has just gone past 6.8 watts per kilogram, 7.4 watts per kilogram. I would be mightily cheesed off with somebody doing that past me at this stage in the race if I was Ben. Ben's sat at his 3.2 watts per kilogram as we approach the banner at the top. He's getting chased by, I think it's Alan Chevel as well from the herd, who's doing 5.5 watts per kilogram at the line. Ben just time trialing it out, starting it out at 3 watts per kilogram as he goes through the banner now in 40th. And a new PR, excitingly.
Hooray. And so it's down to me to say a big thank you to my co-commentary team of Becky Kingdom and Steve Pritch Hurd, and all of our races tonight. And I think we might have a little bit of a lag on the YouTube channel, for which I apologise for. But thank you everyone for listening in, and we hope to see you next week. Thank you very much. Good night.